Shalom, I got cut off, so this is going to be a part two. But continuing from where I left off, demons will plague your thoughts, okay? And that's the toughest part about this thing is, having a strong mind to defend your thoughts, to, rule over your flesh, okay? Have control over your thoughts, okay? And not let the cares of the world and the flesh win you over, okay? Because we've seen a pattern with guys that fall out. They're constantly living according to the flesh, okay? They're constantly tending to the flesh and the cares of the world. The scriptures say, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, okay? I think that's 2 Timothy. Let me find it real quick. I'll read it real quick. Yeah, 2 Timothy 2 and 4, it says, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier, okay? And in this case, the Lord has chosen us to be soldiers, okay? So it's important that we don't entangle ourselves in this with the affairs of this life. Now, what does that entail? That includes, our job, our jobs, our women, our family, different things, of the world. Now, of course, we do manage these things, okay? We do have a duty to uphold, to balance our personal lives, but as far as letting these things consume you and take over, that's what the scriptures also say, a false balance is an abomination to the Most High, okay? So it's about balancing things and not letting one outweigh the other, because you can also overindulge in the spirit and be over righteous, So this thing is a balance, all right? It's about trimming the flesh, fleshly desires, but at the same time, balancing, limiting, or keeping a sufficient amount of the spiritual aspects of things, the righteousness, okay? Keeping a sufficient amount. That word sufficient means just right, okay? The right amount, okay? And that's what we have to do. But if you don't keep that right amount, guess what? Just like your gas tank. If you don't have sufficient gas, then if you don't have sufficient gas for the trip, hey, well, the scriptures also say counting the costs, I'm just roughly paraphrasing, but matter of fact, I'll grab it since I quoted it. Okay, this is Luke 14 and 28. For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? And that word, like I said, sufficient means just right. You have to have enough materials, enough building materials. You have to have the right budget. Okay? Going back to the gas tank analogy, you have to make sure before you make a road trip, you got to make sure you have enough gas in your tank. Okay? You got to make sure you have enough funds to cover the trip. These are the things that we have to consider in the spirit. All right. And the carnal side of things is gonna constantly knock you off. You know, try to bring you out of balance. You know, and it's like if you've ever seen Do the Right Thing, there's a famous my favorite scene in the movie was where the guy Radio Raheem, he had an analogy where he had, on one hand he had a what is it damn, what's that shit called, brass knuckles. On one hand it said love, and on the other hand it said hate. And it was basically like a spoken word part, but he was basically like, love and hate are constantly battling against each other. Well, it's the same thing with evil and righteousness, okay? And we all battle these things internally. Everyone struggles with these things. But see, these people in the world, they've already given themselves over to wickedness. That's why they don't. That's why they are the way they are. That's why they're through. A lot of these people that don't have the truth. Okay, their battle is already their flesh is already their flesh has already conquered them. Okay, but us being in this truth, we're constantly in that battle. We're constantly in that position where we have to fight the flesh, okay? Because this is a spiritual fight. Ephesians 6. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but spiritual, okay? As a matter of fact, I get one more. This is let me get Romans 15. I'll probably close on this. This is, or is it Romans? Let me think. Bear with me one moment. Maybe it's Romans 5. And Romans go slack it. Bear with me one moment. Romans 5. I can't seem to find it, but I'll roughly paraphrase it. If a brother remembers it, you can comment it. But it basically is Paul, and he's saying that that which I hate, I do. Okay. So we want to do the things of the spirit, but, and he also said that it's not it's not us, but it's the flesh, it's the sin that liveth in us. So these bodies are corruptible, okay? These bodies are filthy. This body is always trying to go off and always trying to do contrary to the spirit. What did the scriptures say? That the flesh is contrary to the spirit. Okay, they're contrary to each other. So this is the battle. This is the fight, and you can't let the flesh conquer you. You can't let your evil side. It's almost like you have an evil side. And you can't let that conquer you, okay? You can't let that ego conquer you, all right? It's all about having your flesh, it's like having your spirit outdo the flesh, okay? All right? and having sufficient amount of spirit to sustain in this truth. Okay, so with that, Lord willing, you were edified. I want to give our praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM,